Hello YouTube, back for day 7 of the 2021 18 Internationals. Let's start off with Rich Owen's report. And this was a difficult launch today, another big task similar to yesterday's task, day 6. Basically up and down the fastest spots in Nephi, the high ground running north-south along the plateau, and then down south of Nephi, the two high ground ridges and associated valleys. It was 2:30. The task a little shorter than yesterday's, 5:68. That's pretty impressive again, but we know from yesterday that we could do it. I think the weather today was supposed to be similar, maybe even a little better. So we went, I'll kick over here, southwest to Browns Peak. So we went basically due east or a little north of east, about 70, 80 kilometers. Then south all the way down to Bryce Woodlands, way down to Bryce Canyon basically, over to Burnt Peak, and then back home. So there wasn't that little kink in the middle to trick us like there was yesterday. It's an assigned task, which Rich says is supposed to separate the wheat from the chaff. I just think it's pure racing, and as you'll see today, the best man won by a good margin, and this is a really cool flight to watch. The usual start gate roulette was starting. Zulu Oscar here, the author, decided to avoid the mayhem and took off early. The first leg was relatively fast, with starts averaging around 17,000 feet, right up at the top of the available airspace vertically. There's a small cloud field just north of the rum line, and it allowed you to stay high the entire way. The next leg, we did have a cloud streak, but nothing like the one we had yesterday, coming back to the north. However, it was fast if you could stay high. Around Bryce Woodlands, the high clouds and blue conditions gave you several options to get the point. Some pilots got low here and had to spend some time getting back up. Heading over to Burnt Peak, that would be a northwesterly direction from Bryce. We had fewer clouds, but the climbs are still good. And the final glide was one of the factors that influenced the score sheet today. Several pilots were low again in this area and had to climb into the rising terrain to get around the turn point. Everyone made it home today. Oh, sorry, that's not true. Evan Ludeman's crew decided to fly Grobe and landed out. I'll just skip that. Score sheet took a big change today. In third place for the day was Andy Blackburn, with Peter Dean in second. John Seaborn crushed it. I think this is a world record for speed ever in a contest, 190.67 kilometers per hour. That is very impressive. The top 5 leaders had several changes. In fifth place was Rick Ingerbro. Fourth, Peter Dean. And they were pretty close there, basically tied, 63.59. Jim Lee continues his consistent good flying at 6,400 points, 41 points ahead of fourth and fifth. And then John Seaborn, after his big flight today, picked up 35-40 points, moved into second with 64.29. And then yours truly, Sean Fidler, was in first at 65.68. So basically 139 points, which is a pretty good lead going into the last day. But unfortunately, I used up some of it, as you will see in the next video. Rich made this note. I don't remember this too well, but this kind of felt not uncommon, and certainly hasn't been uncommon since, but I dragged the field around the course. Tomorrow, could you leave us alone so we could race without interference? Use the day for your own strategy and execute your own flight. That might be a little harsh, but these were really, really fast tasks. The clouds in the streets they're pretty obvious. There was, maybe 10 or 15% of the time was there maybe a 50-50 chance between two routes. And everybody is going so damn fast that you're just trying to hang on. And but there were a few guys. You'll see that today. So here we are in the scores. Whoa, 190.67. That is just incredible. And 5K faster, or almost 5K faster than Peter Dean. I am going to point something out though. First JS3, second JS3, third JS3, fourth ASG29, fifth JS3, another ASG29. Now where's sixth? 666. Where are you? Or is there two fifths? Scroll down a little. Seventh ASG29. I don't see sixth. There must be two fifths. Yes, two ASG29s. Fifth and another JS3 and fifth. So quite. I mean, the JS3s are right up at the top, and this is a JS3 contest condition for sure. So here you can see the task. Better yet, I will pull up the task, which I already have set up as a window. And you can basically see that we start here. Try and zoom in just a little bit. And then go off to Browns Peak, up at the top of the plateau, all the way down south. I can't read that, but that's got to be 250K. A little 50K over here, and then back straight to the finish. So one leg 2, leg 3, and leg 4. And we're kind of going clockwise today as opposed to counterclockwise yesterday. And we'll leave that for later. And we'll jump right in. Kind of cool here. You can see the step down and the starting times of right around maybe 20:30. And it looks like we start, for 15-20 minutes. So a 15-20 minute spread. And I'm going to keep it at 40 here until we get closer to the start. We're facing east-northeast here, getting ready for the start. And now that you've seen the task, I will zoom in on the 2D here. Some of you might notice there was 3 routes here. A lot of people went pretty much straight, a little bit north of line. A lot of people went over here. But the top 3 or 4 guys all went this way, which was the straighter way. And you'll see that here in a second as we get close to the start. Of course, this here, the top 10, the data is ordered. And I went through and I ordered everybody today. So it's easier for me to find everybody if we need to find some data. And I'll scroll that up here. Come on. I'm not sure what's happening there. Sometimes if you kick off and kick back, you can get over to the data, but for whatever reason, I'm not able to trigger that. So we'll just stay with the top 10. So 17,000 feet was the start. You can still see a lot of people launching here. We're following Alpha 8. I'm going to kick this on to 7 Tango. And then try and make sure. I'm going to pause it and try and understand why this is being so frustrating. I would leave it on Alpha 8. We will keep an eye on Alpha 8, but I don't have the context for Alpha 8. So that's why I keep the camera locked on me, because at least I can explain what I'm thinking. And of course, we'll keep an eye on Alpha 8. A little bit of time here before the start. Start times 14:52. Andy Blackburn 4 minutes behind. I think he learned a little bit from yesterday. I'm 6 minutes behind Seaborn, 46. Jim Lee started late. Peter Dean started late. Rick Ingerbro started late. Rick had a tough day today. Gary Ittner late. So even though I started quite a ways behind John, we were both pretty early. And let me just stretch in on this. We're getting close to the dip here. And you can see it right there. And everybody's pretty spread out. We're all between 12 and 9-0 still coming up. We're all between 12 and 13. DG up at 16. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more here. A little too much. So you can see the activity before the start. And that was the dip. Everybody came down, it looks like, to maybe 12.5. And now we're coming back up, and the gate has been open when that dip is called. And I'm pretty far to the south here. The wind is out of 230. So that's upwind, basically, of the starting area. I'm a little bit too far to the east, really, to be upwind. Victor 1 is in a good spot there. And I think there were clouds today, so everybody's climbing in a various under various Q. All right, so that's not, there we are. So we're getting close to a start here. Everybody's sort of on the rum line here, working up in their climbs. There's some big, fat, ugly gaggles. And there was a lot of running around at high speed, so that's one of the reasons that I kind of left. But I was also not in control of starting with the folks when I wanted to, so I was a little bit nervous over here. And I'll leave the camera at that angle for now, and I'll rezoom this in. First starter, Zulu Lima, and Alpha 8 went very early in that group. So Zulu Oscar is quite early. I've just started. Papa 7, Ron Rose, 5-1 Papa. About the middle of the group here. There's still a huge gaggle back here getting ready to go. And you can see the three lines already forming. If I zoom out here a little bit, here's the sort of slightly left of center. Here's the right of center, and I think there's a bunch of guys who even go a little further over here. And I need to slow this down so we can see what's going on. 7 Tango right here, Romeo Fox, Papa 7, Zulu Oscar, Victor Whiskey, and Alpha 8 to the south. And what it was is there was a bigger street up here, but it was downwind and a little farther off course. The wind is still 240 at 22K. And then these clouds were maybe a little closer to course line, and they were slightly downwind. And a lot of good pilots seem to take this line. Although I don't think anybody won or lost the contest or the task from that decision. There goes 2 Tango, 8 Niner, and I believe that's 9 Bravo. So just for perspective, this is 6 minutes here. That's probably about 10 to 12, 13, 14K. We can try and calculate that right now. Distance task 45 for Alpha 8. 7 Tangos at 25, so about 20K. And then 9 Bravo is only at 9K and 10K for 2 Tangos. So they're 15K behind me, and I'm 20K behind Alpha 8, just to give you the perspective of distance there. And that's a pretty reasonable zoom level. This is the huge Mount Nebo. I think that's 12,700 feet. And then here's this next valley. And there's Nephi. Zoom in just a little more. And try and keep most of the players in the screen here. Pretty good. This is mostly downwind, so pretty good glide ratios. And you can see I've got a really high one at 124 here for 38 miles. 236 on the ground speed, so a relatively good start. First climb, 3.7 meters a second. I'm still at 16,400, so I can't climb much. Just a minute, quick top off, 800 feet in 8 knots. Alpha 8 comes back a little bit more westerly than Zulu Lima. Pretty big deviation for me there. Back on to their street, it looks like. I'm still at 16,000, and my glide ratio has flattened out. Now we're looking back to the south, down the first leg. Zulu Lima staying right on the crest of the high ground where the elevation change is the most positive. Huge group storming out pretty late back here. Alpha 8's in 2.6 for 1200. Romeo Fox and Papa 7 following Zulu Lima. And I think this was probably my first mistake of the day. Coming upwind, really low glide ratio, into the low ground. And there were some clouds out here that suckered us, but clearly they were a miss. You can see Alpha 8 came way out here and then drives right back. And what this does is allows the gaggle, sort of the second gaggle, to get their hooks in me. And I've lost 5 minutes on them, basically. Looking for our next climb. Weak, 2 meters a second. That'll really help those guys catch me. Alpha 8 went in for 5 knots, a little farther over the high ground with Zulu Lima. And I don't bite on that. I just keep blasting down the rum line here with a little less deviation. So based on that, Alpha Bravo's up at 15.7. I'm at 13.3, so that'll be 2,400 feet. 2 Tango and 9 Bravo have basically caught me, 3-4K, same altitude. And I'm already bleeding a little bit. There's a little better climb, 4 knots for 3,600, but all of my main protagonists are going to hop right into that climb. There's 2 Tango, 9 Bravo, I think, is already in there. Zulu Lima and Alpha 8 are stretching. Just wondering real quick, how did Zulu Lima do? Because he looks like he's doing great. 8th for the day. ASG 29, JS3. So we're taking it up right to 17.2. Taking off. I'm with Romeo Fox. And Papa 7, 9 Bravo, and the rest of the gang are going to be coming out very soon. You can see we're right on the major increase from here to here is probably, 2,500 feet. It's a pretty big rise, and it's pretty consistent. 9 Bravo, 8 9er, and Papa 7 coming into what looks like the Alpha 8 line, and 7 Tango and Romeo Fox are cutting the difference. Glide ratios are pretty flat, with the exception of Noel Wade, who I see with negative 316. He's not sure where he is right now. I think he's back. Yeah, he just started. He was pretty far back. Oh, test distance, sorry, PM. Yeah, 97 to 111, so he's not, there he is, PM. So there's some good air to be found here. Basically 9 Bravo and 2 Tango have caught. And Alpha 8's in 4.2 meters a second. A nice 8 knotter. Takes it up to what looks like 17, 16.8. And I take a mark climb here, I think. Nope. And I go past it and find 2 meters a second. No, I think I blew it. No, I think that climb is gone. There's nobody in the original column there. And with the wind drift, it would be a little bit farther to the north by now, because well, the wind shifted. It's out of the northwest now, so these guys are in the vicinity, but it looks like a miss. So John is killing it. He's leaving Zulu Lima behind, and Victor 1 and Victor Whiskey, Alpha Alpha, and I've sort of maintained my position. I think I started about this position, about 6th. But these guys are in a good position to grind me down. Let me go back and look. Hopefully they're still on the climb. Yeah, 9 Bravo, 1.8. Oh, sorry, 3 for 1,000, 1.8 for 2 Tango. So they do slow down a little bit for me. 8 9er. He's not in the top 10. He's in the run though. And these, look at John's glide ratio, 166. I get 134. Zulu Lima 216 is up there with John, but you can see the difference. There's consistently maybe some better glide ratios. We'll have to see the data at the end of the day. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm a little low here. I'm trying something, a miss. Romeo Fox. Ooh. So I just missed. I was a little beyond Romeo Fox. And he found 4 knots, or sorry, 4 meters, so that's 8 knots. So I missed a climb there, and you can see, well, I'm not too low yet, but I think I get a little low on this leg. And I take 2.6, so I'm struggling a little bit at this point. 2 Tango and 9 Bravo are moving by farther to the west. I'm a little higher than them, but I am trying to get high here. Maybe a little disconnected from the clouds. And 8 9er steers over to the west, and we find 4.8, and 9 Bravo and 2 Tango jump right into it, but they basically made the catch. So I'm almost up to 17 here. 9 Bravo has abridged the 5 minutes. 2 Tango's just behind him. And that's Papa 7 right there. Yep. I guess there's a little bit more action on this side. And we'll zoom out a little bit. Hotel 7, Biff Huss, Peter Dean, Rick Ingerbro, Andy Blackburn, 7 Tango Sean Fidler, Romeo Fox, Ryman Clark, and Papa 7. 3 meters a second. That's not too exciting. 900 feet. Nine Bravo's right on me now. Let's see us right here. Pretty big deviation here. We're clearly moving to windward here. Wind still 304. 84 to 1 glide ratio. Alpha 8's out there at 96. 142 for Papa 7. A lot of deviating here. So now we've been passed by some of these guys. That was a bit of a weak climb, it looks like. No one stayed in it too long. And now we're in a big wad. 4.1 meters per second. It's good to know where Andy is. I didn't realize he was that far behind me at that point. And it's good to know where Peter Dean is. But I didn't know where Alpha 8 was at this point. I knew he was out ahead. Not much I could do about it. Just do the best I could. 8-9er is off on his own over there a little bit. He's fallen below us a bit. $148 to 1. 130 for Andy. 2 meter a second climb for Alpha 8, so a little bit of a miss there. Let's see what he's doing. Alpha 8 still with Zulu Lima. Climbing through 15.7. We're at 16.3. But getting some good speed here with a 148 glide ratio for sure. Bruno Vassell, Bravo 4, was 9th place today, and he's only in a 15-meter glider. It's pretty impressive. He's giving away, what, at least 2% right off the top. Zulu Lima and Alpha 8 are opening up a pretty big lead. They're getting down here to the southerly turn point. Bryce Woodlands. And they're almost there. It's good enough. 6 minutes. Alpha 8 was ahead. I've done 283. He's done 311. So he's pretty close, what, 26K ahead. Yeah, it's a little bit more than 6 minutes. So I'd say he's leading right now. He has a 177 average along with 2 Tango. Or sorry, Alpha 8 is a 177. 9 Bravo and 2 Tango, roughly the same. And I'm 4th. Who else is fast back here? Zulu Lima, who's up there with him. And Bravo 4 is at 174 right now, which is hyper impressive. And he has one of the fastest speeds in a 15-meter glider. It's an ASW 27, I believe. A miss for 7 Tango, 2 Tango, and 9 Bravo, Romeo Fox. There's 9-0. And Zulu Oscar and, is that Clemens CPAC are flying together? Yep. All right, Zulu Lima and Alpha 8 have taken the turn point. I'm going almost due west there. We're down to 15, which is still pretty high. It's just fine. Looks like we saw this climb, or I saw this climb. 9 Bravo's skipping it and sort of felt it out. This is a sporty little rounding here. And I remember being a little frustrated at this point because these two guys have walked by me, basically. I think we're 9 Bravo's a little lower, 2 Tango's a little higher. And Alpha 8 and Zulu Lima are nowhere to be seen. Alpha is flying really well. Looks like we see the same cloud. Must be here. And pull into it. Not very good. 2 Tango gets more out of it, 2.6. I get 2.1. And he gets 2.5. And moves on very quickly to 2.5. I wasn't able to catch that. I think he had the same reading in both thermals. Maybe I was wrong. And now we're in 3.2, so we're sort of stepping up in crud here. And we're to the lee of these high mountains. And this isn't really high mountains. It's just a bunch of different peaks and sort of ridge lines. So it wasn't very well organized. Alpha 8 and Zulu Lima are killing it. Now, what happened to Zulu Lima? He must have gotten stuck here. Zulu Lima started at 44. Andy Blackburn 46. Okay, so Zulu Lima started 2 minutes ahead. That's going to cost him a few points, maybe 20. But he ends up losing 60. So he must get stuck up here somewhere on the way home, because this is the last turn point, and now we're headed home back to the north. 181 glide ratio, 364 for JS3 2 Tango, and JS3 9 Bravo 170. VW is flying really well. Alpha 8 is just doing what we all fear, just leaving us. It was a good day to do that. You saw how many weak climbs have been taken by so many folks back here. Somehow I got above 9 Bravo quite a bit there. 9 Bravo's at 15. And I'm up at 16.6, so I did something good between here and there. That's good. I'm also above 2 Tango. Anyway, must just have found a little bit better line, because they were ahead back by that after that last turn point. It was only 60K. All right, so looks like I'm pushing hard here. Yep. No, the wind's 214, so there's a little tailwind on this. 9 Bravo and 2 Tango keeping together, and I am pushing hard now, trying to catch up to, I know there's a couple guys out here, and I know he's earning some points. 181, good glide ratio again. 9 Bravo is doing pretty much the same, and 3.8 meters a second. I'll take that. But everybody else takes it too. 9 Bravo gets 2.7, so I do get a little stronger climb rate, so I should be able to extend a little bit. 2 Tango jumps out after me. in the mighty JS3. And I might catch Alpha Alpha, but there's nobody who's going to catch Alpha 8. But Alpha 8 is pushing. Zulu Lima's stepped over and is in a climb, or it looks like he just left a climb. So they had a difference of opinion here. Zulu Lima looks like he went to the upwind side of these ridges, and Alpha 8, or this little mountain range, and Alpha 8's out here in the valley. Obviously, he made all the right decisions today, so I have nothing to question about it. Alpha 8 finds a climb, and it looks like it was a miss. Jumps right back into the run. Looks like I decide I like what's out here too. And Alpha Alpha likes Zulu Lima's line. Nine Bravo makes the same choice. Romeo Fox makes the other choice. All right, I stop. 2.5 meters a second. That is not impressive. 2 Tango and 9 Bravo laugh at me and wave as they go by. And they get the same, 2.6 meters a second. And I go a little bit further past them and get a miss. Romeo Fox, Hotel 7's caught up quite a bit. I think Hotel 7 had a good day. Not particularly, but he has made some gains. He's a little lower, but he's caught up. This whole group is caught up. 8-9er had some trouble today. Separated from the group, headed south down that second leg. These guys are climbing quite hard, so we've opened it up a little bit, and that was weak. That was 2.5. It's later in the day now. $48-1, and I might be on final glide here. Papa 7 is right here with me. 53-1, and he's got a huge long glide as well. So this might be final glide. Still at 15. And I think this was a 570K task, and I've done 465. So 100K to go, 60 miles. I'm guessing it's 38 LD to the finish, and I'm on a 60 LD. I just don't know, or 48 LD. I'm just not sure where that started. We do catch Alpha Alpha eventually here. We're running a little farther to the east. Alpha 8 is damn near the finish. Zoom out. Look at that lead. Wow. He's totally eviscerated everybody back here. Papa 7 changes his mind, goes over to what Alpha Alpha just turned in and missed. Flies right through it. Alpha Alpha comes to me. 2 Tango shifts east. I shift east. So pretty stressful here right now. We've left 9 Bravo behind a little bit, although 9 Bravo started quite a ways behind me today and gains 5 points on me, but we did shear him off after the southerly turn point there a little bit. $48-1, so the good air glides are not working anymore, and we're flying pretty much with a little tailwind there. We're flying 90, 100 knots here and average LDs, so nothing too exciting. I'm still at 12.4, so I might make this to home here. There's only 60, 70K to go. Pushing hard, and there's only 2 buggers out there ahead of me. Zulu Lima and Alpha 8, and I remember distinctly hearing Alpha 8 call finish and going, oh shit. And it wasn't really positive how many points he was going to get back, but I knew he was going to get a chunk. But I do love racing tasks for this very reason. actually pulling out ahead of people matters. And even though, you're sort of racing for a tie and they can chase you and leech off of you and you can leech off them, it is satisfying to break away. Especially with so many good pilots right there with me. Looks like I'm going to be on a 150 kilometer final glide here, guys. Still I've come down a lot. Maybe not. Maybe I'm going to stop here. I look like I'm really slowing down. Papa 7's low. Lower than me. I think I'm going to make it. 65. Yeah, I'm going to make it. 6,500 is the finish altitude. I'm at 83. Two Tango's going fast. He's going 300 kph, and I'm going 260. So 40k gain for at least a moment there. But wow, it was a good flight for Two Tango, who started 4 or 5 minutes behind and really flew well. You can see 9 Bravo, Alpha Alpha. And I'll just pan up. Romeo Fox. And I guess we're seeing a south wind, so we're landing to the south. All right. So you get the gist. Now let's look at some data. And I guess I'll just start back here with maybe like 9-0, and we'll work our way up. All right, so for the task, 570k distance, 3.7 average vario, 15 thermals. What's that? Let's call it 50k, 45k of extra distance. 2.3 netto, 6.6 rising netto. Yeah, so let's just stay with the basics right now. 18% circling, 3.7, 15 thermals, 57 LD, 16 glides. Average glide, 38. Now let's go to Bravo 4, who's flying a 15-meter glider. 13 thermals, 3.2, 58. Average glide, 41. And he almost went straight. Only 584 of 570, so almost no deviation at all. And he got 9th in a 15-meter glider. And if you add 2% into that speed, so let's give him a 2% handicap. Where's Bruno? There he is. So 916, call that speed 175. You give him 2% on that, that's 3-4K, that's 178. He doesn't move up too much, but you get the idea that he flew really well, basically almost even with Dave Leonard. Not too far off of Andy Blackburn and myself at 182. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So good on Bruno there. Zulu Lima, huge mean LD, long average glide, only 12 glides, 11 thermals, 3.5. But he flew 610 on 570. So actually pretty straight, 40K of deviation. Noel Wade, 67. What does Noel fly? Is that a JS3? Nope, ASG 29. 12, 3.7, and 611. So actually pretty straight. Not a lot of deviation. Papa 7. Wow. 82 mean LD, 60, 10 glides, 9 thermals. A little bit of weaker average, 604. So very straight on 570. Only 35 K of deviation. And what did Papa 7 end up? 5th. So basically exactly even with me, just a couple points back. Impressive. Dave Coggins, a huge LD, 8 glides, only 7 thermals, 3.4 meters a second, which is average, and 607, very straight. That's pretty impressive. Whoops. Oh, so Dave Coggins, 5th for the day, 937. Pretty darn impressive. All right, 7 Tango, yours truly, pretty high LD, about 50K for an average glide, 12 thermals. That was what killed me today. Too many weak climbs. Also tries. I had 6 missed tries, and you saw those throughout the course of the flight. There's just too many of those. If we go to Alpha 8, he only had 3 misses. If we go, well, let's just go down the list until we get back down to me. 5 misses for 2 Tango, 4 misses for 9 Bravo. So that's too many for sure. And total distance 617. I went fairly straight, 45K of deviation. And fourth, 950. I lost 41 points to John, which actually maybe puts him in a, if I blow it, he can get me. And there's nothing I could do. I don't think I flew bad. I think he just did his thing and flew wonderfully. So we've sort of seen some of these 70 mean LD, 17 glides, a lot of thermals for 9 Bravo there. Pretty poor thermal average, 3.1. That's one of the lowest, but pretty straight flight, 604. 2 Tango, another JS3. I'm always pointing out that these are JS3s. We are an 18-meter class, but man, they are hot little numbers. 607, pretty straight, pretty low thermal, vario average, and pretty nominal glide, but whatever. And then Alpha 8, only 10 thermals, really high glide average or thermal average, really high LD, really high glide, average glide, and moderately straight. So similar to me, maybe 45K of deviation, and pretty much led again from the beginning to the end. But there it is, world record speed basically. Phases. So sometimes you can break into the data and look at the various legs. Start to Brown's Peak, speed 187. It only took him 15 minutes to get down there. Or actually, the speed 221.66. And then, we only took one climb for 3.8 and 1,000 feet, 63 LD. Let's just kick over to me for contrast. It took me roughly 15 minutes. One thermal, 3.8 for 981, 72 mean LD, 2 glides. So you can start to break into the data here and sort of see, well, what leg should I look at? What leg was the strongest, comparatively? But there's lots of data that's presented to you in CU that you can play with and think about. All right, so that's all I have for today. Congratulations to John Seaborn for pretty much the fastest task that has ever been completed in competition. I'm not positive about that, but I think that is the case. Peter Dean in second, Andy Blackburn third, I was fourth. Fifth for Dave Coggins, who's been incredibly consistent and flying really, really well. Tied with Gary Ittner, who had a good task today. So now we're looking for seventh. Noel Wade, who just had that bad first day, and he's slowly creeping up the score sheet here. He'd be right in the thick of it if he didn't have that bad first day, and I'm sure he's going to put it together. Dave Leonard, who you saw off the front with John Seaborn today. Great flight. Good job.
And ninth, Bruno Vassell in his ASW 27. That was an impressive flight. I complain about how fast the JS3s are, but I'm sure he's complaining about how fast all of us are. But to get ninth on that day is really impressive, and you saw how straight he flew, and his statistics were phenomenal. And finally, 10th, Bob Fletcher. Good flight, Bob, and 10th place. And you can see all the scores on the SSA website. And we have only one more day to cover, and then I'll start getting into Uvalde. I hope you're enjoying it. Leave any comments you wish in YouTube or the social media where you find it. And thank you, as always, for watching. All right, we'll talk to you soon.